Alrighty, folks, it is Saturday, August 26, 2023. Happy Saturday to you. Hopefully you got your weekend started off good. And of course, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. Tell you what, I'm not even monetized. I currently don't make a penny from these videos. I just do it because I love breaking down games. And of course, if you want to see which one of these free plays on these videos that I like the best, you may want to think about signing up to my premium page. I have a link to that page in the description section below. I have a membership on that page that costs just $1.99 for 30 days of service. It's called My Daily Best Play, and you're going to receive one premium selection of mine every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. I currently have over 630 members who are signed up and active on my website right now, and you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my premium page. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my premium page is I actually share with you which one of these free plays on these videos that I like the best. And once again, my cheapest package is just $1.99 for 30 days of service. And folks, real quick, I just can't thank you enough for watching these videos. Never in my 7 years here on YouTube have I averaged 2,000 views a day on my Major League Baseball videos. Normally, they're my least viewed videos. I average anywhere between like 600, 700 views. So I got to thank you so much for your loyal viewership day in and day out. This has certainly been the best summer I've had with regard to viewership and memberships on my site as well. So you guys are the best. I owe everything to you. You allow me to do what I love to do. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Guardians at the Blue Jays, 3:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus $1.70, totals 8.5. Hyunjin Ryu for Toronto, Logan Allen for Cleveland. Now, the lefty Allen comes into today's start with 100 strikeouts and an ERA in the low threes. And believe it or not, these Guardians batters are actually hitting the ball on the road. These guys are in the top 10 in hits per contest away from home. They also strike out fewer times per contest than any other lineup in baseball. They've certainly been a tough out. Jose Ramirez, he's fanned just 54 times this year in 478 at-bats. He does have the highest qualifying batting average in the lineup. Meanwhile, Steven Kwan's the team leader in hits. They're facing a Toronto club who's on a 3-game skid themselves, and they do struggle offensively at home. The Blue Jays are in the bottom 5 in the American League in run production on their own diamond. Josh Naylor and David Fry, they are still out for the Guardians. 8 out of Cleveland's last 10 ball games did fall under the total. Meanwhile, Toronto went 60% to the under in their last 10. Give me the Guardians plus 1.5, under 8.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Braves at the Giants, 4:05 Eastern first pitch. Atlanta's minus $1.80, totals 8 runs. Max Fried for Atlanta, Ryan Walker for San Francisco. Now, the Giants have taken the loss in their last 3 Ryan Walker starts. They scored only 4 total runs during that time frame. Now, these Giants hitters have also struggled at Oracle Park. They're in the bottom 3 in the major leagues in runs per game at home. They're also facing Max Fried, who's recorded only 1 loss and has an ERA in the 2s. Now, Max is also backed by the most dangerous lineup of hitters in the game. Atlanta currently leads the majors right now in run production and hits. Ronald Acuna bats .334, and he leads the majors in stolen bases. Meanwhile, Matt Olson has a league-best 110 RBI on the year. Ozzie Albies is still out for Atlanta. Crawford, Pollock, and Yastrzemski inactive for San Francisco. 3 out of the Giants' last 4 home games did fall under the total. They also went 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Atlanta has gone 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Braves, minus $1.80, under 8. Next ball game, it is going to be Royals at the Mariners, 4:10 p.m. East. Seattle's the $2.50 favorite at home. Total's 8.5. Logan Gilbert for Seattle. Jordan Lyles for Kansas City. Now, Lyles is just 3-14 on the year with an ERA in the sixes. Meanwhile, at the plate, the Royals just can't hit the baseball. They're dead last in the bigs in run production on the road. They're going to have to face an 11-win Logan Gilbert, who's got 146 strikeouts and a 1.07 whip. And in the Mariners' last 10 meetings with Kansas City, they've really shelled these Royals pitchers. The M's have averaged over 7.1 runs a game during those gatherings. Julio Rodriguez is the club leader in hits. Eugenio Suarez, he's got the most RBI. Now, Tom Murphy's out for the Mariners. Nick Pratto inactive for Kansas City. The Royals did see the undercash in 2 out of their last 3 Jordan Lyles starts. Give me the Mariners -1.5, under 8.5. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Dodgers at the Red Sox, 4:10 p.m. East. The LA Dodgers are -$130 on the road. Total's 9.5. Julio Urias for Los Angeles. James Paxton for Boston. Now, Paxton's having a solid year on the hill for Boston. He's 7-4 with an ERA in the threes. Now, the lefty's also averaging over a strikeout an inning. And even if Paxton struggles with these Dodger hitters, just keep in mind that these Boston Sluggers love hitting at Fenway. The Bo Sox average more hits a game at home than any other club in baseball. Masataka Yoshida has 131 hits on the year. Rafi Devers is in the top 10 in both home runs and RBI. Now they're facing Julio Urias, who's allowed his fair share of earned runs this year. The lefty's currently got himself an ERA of 4.15. Now, these LA pitchers have also struggled away from Dodger Stadium. These guys are actually in the bottom 10 in runs allowed per game on the road. Injury-wise, Martinez and DeLuca are still out for Los Angeles. 3 out of the Dodgers' last 4 road games did get over the posted total. Meanwhile, Boston went 9-1 to the over in their last 10 themselves. Plenty of overs for these Red Sox. Give me Boston plus $1.10, over 9.5. Next contest I have for you, it is going to be Yankees at the Rays, 4:10 p.m. East. Tampa Bay is -$1.75, total 7 runs. Tyler Glasnow for the Rays, Clark Schmidt for New York. Now, Schmidt's got an ERA of 4.68 along with a 1.34 whip. And even if the righty has a good showing here today, probably not going to get the run support he needs. The Yankees average fewer hits per 9 than any other club besides Oakland. They're facing Tyler Glasnow, who's got 110 strikeouts in just 80-plus innings. He's currently got an ERA of 3.35 along with a 1.09 whip. When it comes to offensive production, the Rays are a top 3 run-producing team in the American League. Yandy Diaz, he's the club leader in batting average and hits. He's currently in the top 5 in the American League in both of those categories I just mentioned. Meanwhile, Isaac Paredes, he's the club leader. Isaac Paredes, 80 RBI, club best, leading the team in that category. Margot and Wall is still out for the Rays. Anthony Rizzo out for the Pinstripers. 7 out of New York's last 10 ball games did get over the total. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay went 70% to the over in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Rays -$1.75, over 7. Next matchup, Nationals Marlins, 4:10 p.m. East. Miami's the $2 favorite at home. Total's 8.5. Yuri Perez for Miami. Jake Irvin for Washington. And out of 96 innings of work this year, the righty Jake Irvin's recorded only 3 wins. He's got an ERA of 4.47 along with a 1.40 whip. And I'll tell you what, when Washington's on the road, these Nats pitchers just can't keep runners off the base paths. They're in the bottom 3 in hits allowed per game while traveling. They're facing a Miami club who has little issue hitting the baseball. These guys are in the top 5 in hit production on their own field. Now, of course, Luis Arias, he has the highest batting average in the majors. Jorge Soler's 7th in home runs. And even if the Fish struggle at the dish, they've got Yuri Perez on the mound, and I'll tell you what, he's been very tough to hit against. The righty's punched out 83 batters in just 68 innings. And no real shock here, folks. The righties got an ERA in the twos along with a 1.07 whip. Now, 3 out of the Fish last 4 home games did get over the posted total. Washington went 60% to the over in their last 10. Give me the Marlins minus 1.5, over 8.5. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Astros at the Tigers, 6:10 p.m. East. Houston's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Hunter Brown for Houston, Eduardo Rodriguez for Detroit. And even though the Tigers have played pretty well recently, they've still had their issues on their own field. The Tigers have a .418 win percentage against American League opponents at home, and a lot of that is thanks to some poor plate appearances. The Tigers score fewer runs per contest than any other club in the AL Central. And of course, they have to face Hunter Brown, who's actually just 1 win shy of double digits on the year. The righty's also been a big strikeout guy this season. A lot of Ks for this guy. Brown's fanned 143 batters in just 128 innings. When it comes to offensive production, the Astros love to hit on the road. They're a top 5 run-producing lineup in their travels. Kyle Tucker's got the second most RBI in the majors. Jose Altuve, he is currently hitting .313. Houston went 8-2 to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, 3 out of Detroit's last 4 home games got over the total themselves. Give me Houston minus $1.25, over 8.5. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Rockies at the Orioles, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. Baltimore's the $3 favorite at Camden Yards, totals 9 runs. Kyle Bradish for Baltimore, Chris Flexen for Colorado. Now, Flexen's got himself an ERA of 6.31 with the Rockies. Colorado's also struggled offensively on the road. The Rockies are averaging just 3.7 runs a game in their travels. They're also taking on Kyle Bradish, who's got an ERA of 3.03, along with a 1.10 whip. Now, Bradish is also backed by a top 5 run-producing lineup in the American League. These guys certainly having success at the dish. Adley Rutschman's the team leader in hits. Anthony Santander, he leads the roster in RBI. James McCann is questionable for Baltimore. Chris Bryant inactive for Colorado. The Rockies are 8-2 to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, Baltimore went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Orioles minus 1.5, over 9. Next contest, it is going to be Angels at the Mets, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Now, the Angels are the $1.20 favorite in Flushing, Queens, totals 9.5. Chase Silseth for Los Angeles, Carlos Carrasco for New York. And as bad as Carrasco's been, the Mets surprisingly still have a winning record at home. I'll tell you what, these New York pitchers do tend to throw better at Citi Field. So, like I said, as bad as Carrasco's been, he might have a fighting chance here today on his own diamond. The Mets are allowing just 7.8 hits a game in Flushing, Queens this year. And, of course, they're facing an Angels organization who strikes out a lot at the dish. And they're obviously very banged up right now. Trout, Cron, Neto, and obviously Shohei Ohtani, they're all out for Los Angeles. And even though starting pitcher Chase Silseth had some decent stuff this year, he still comes into today's ball game with an ERA in the 4s. Now, Los Angeles went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Give me the Mets plus $1, over 9.5. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be A's at the White Sox, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Chicago's minus $1.30 at home, totals 9 runs. Touki Toussaint for Chicago, J.P. Sears for Oakland. And I'll tell you what, poor Sears. The A's just don't want to win for the guy. The lefty's recorded only 2 wins in 134-plus innings. He's officially just 2-10 with an ERA of 4.61. And at the plate, the A's are dead last in the majors in runs per game. And even though the White Sox haven't been great, their pitching staff has certainly racked up the strikeouts. These guys are fanning 9.3 batters a game. They're actually in the top 5 in strikeouts per 9 on the bump. 4 out of Chicago's last 5 at Guaranteed Rate Field got over the total. They also went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Now, Oakland on the other side, they went 70% to the over in their last 10 themselves. Give me the White Sox minus $1.30, over 9. Next matchup, Padres, Brewers, 7:10 p.m. East. Milwaukee's the $1.40 favorite at home. Totals 8.5. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee. Pedro Avila for San Diego. And through 23 innings, the righty Avila has got an ERA of 1.17. Meanwhile, as a whole, this Padres pitching staff has been really tough to hit against this year. These guys allow fewer runs a game than any other team besides one. It's been their bats that have been, holding them back. And no real shock here, guys. The Pods are limiting their competition to just 7.8 hits a game. Now, they're facing a Milwaukee club who has one of the worst lineups in the National League. As a matter of fact, these guys are in the bottom 3 in the entire league in hits per game in the box. And in their last 10 gatherings with San Diego, the Brewers have been held to just 3.7 runs a game. Winker's out. Frelick's questionable. Meanwhile, for San Diego, Jake Cronenworth is questionable for them. 6 out of the Pods' last 10 ball games did fall under the total. Give me the Padres plus 1.5, under 8.5. Next matchup, Cubs, Pirates, 7:15 Eastern start time. Chicago's minus $1.35, totals 10. Javier Assad for Chicago, Colin Selby for Pittsburgh. And out of just 8 2/3 innings of work this year, the righty Selby's got an ERA in the 7s already. The Buccos are also one of the worst hitting lineups in the game. They're averaging under 7.9 hits per contest. Now they're facing Javier Assad, who's got an ERA of 3.13 after 72 innings. These Cubbies bats have also been solid for the most part, throwing out last night's game, obviously. These guys are still in the top 5 in the majors in runs per contest. Cody Bellinger is hitting 316 with an OPS in the 900s. Meanwhile, Nico Horner's the team leader in hits. The Cubs have scored 25 total runs in their last 4 Javier Assad starts. Those were all victories, by the way. 4 out of Chicago's last 5 road games did get over the total. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh went 60% to the over in their last 10. Give me the Cubs minus $1.35, over 10. Next matchup, Cardinals, Phillies, 7:15 East. Philadelphia's minus 210 at Citizens Bank Park. Totals 8.5. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia. Dakota Hudson for St. Louis. And as good as Hudson's been, well, I just don't think the Cards play good enough on the road to get the job done here. They've gotten the W in just 17 out of 44 road games against National League opponents. And in their last 10 meetings with Philadelphia, these Cardinal bats have gone cold. They average under 2.6 runs a game. In those meetings I just mentioned, they're going to face a 9-win Zach Wheeler, who's got 165 strikeouts and a 1.11 whip. Meanwhile, at the plate, the Phils continue to pound the baseball. They're in the top 3 in the National League in hits per game. Bryce Harper hits 301 at the dish. Nick Castellanos has 139 hits. Nolan Arenado is questionable for the Redbirds. Carlson, Nootbaar, Donovan, and Gorman are still out. St. Louis went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Philadelphia saw 3 out of their last 5 stay under the total themselves. Give me the Phillies minus 1.5, under 8.5. Next matchup, Rangers at the Twins, 7:15 East. Texas is $1.20. Texas is minus 120 on the road. Totals 8 runs. Max Scherzer for Texas. Joe Ryan for Minnesota. Now, Ryan's got 152 strikeouts and a 1.13 whip. The Twins have also been really good at home. They're 38-26 inside the dome, and they're striking out nearly 9.7 batters a game there. Now, the Twins are going up against a struggling Texas team right now who actually lost their last 8 straight. And during that stretch, the Rangers now have a losing record on the road. They're 2 games below 500 in their travels. Miller and Young are still out for Texas. Buxton, Castro, Gordon, Kirilloff, and Miranda still inactive for Minnesota. The Twins went 60% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, 3 out of the Rangers' last 4 road games got over the total themselves. Give me the Twins plus $1, over 8. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. Give me the Reds at the D-backs, 8:10 p.m. East. Arizona's minus a $1.50, totals 9. Zach Davies for Arizona, Fernando Cruz for Cincinnati. Now, the Reds do play their best baseball on the road. They're currently 7 games above 500 in their travels. Meanwhile, at the plate, the Reds do a nice job of hitting the baseball. They're in the top 5 in the National League in hits per game on the road. Of course, Spencer Steer, he's been a big part of that. He's the club leader in RBI and hits. Matt McLain's just 7 points shy of batting .300. They're taking on Zach Davies, who's 1-5 with an ERA in the 7s. These Arizona pitchers have also struggled at Chase Field. They're in the bottom 10 in hits allowed per game at home. Casale, Newman, Fraley, India, and Fairchild are all still out for Cincinnati. 3 out of Cincy's last 5 road games did get over the total. Meanwhile, Arizona went 60% to the over in their last 10. Give me the Reds plus 1.5, over 9. And with that, folks, now it is time for our quick pick recap. Give me the Guardians plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Atlanta Braves minus a $1.80, under 8. Mariners minus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. I have packages on my premium page starting at just $1.99. The link is in my bio. Red Sox plus a $1.10, over 9.5. Tampa Bay Rays minus 175, over 7. Marlins minus 1.5, over 8.5. Astros minus a $1.25, over 8.5. Orioles minus 1.5, over 9. Mets plus $1, over 9.5. White Sox minus a $1.30, over 9. Padres plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Cubs minus 135, over 10. Phillies minus 1.5, under 8.5. Twins plus $1, over 8. With my next and final free pick, give me the Cincinnati Reds plus 1.5, over 9.